Hey everyone, how are you all doing? So welcome back to this exam preparation series on AWS Cloud Practitioner exam. The exam code for the same is CLF-C02. Now friends, in this video and in the coming videos, I'm going to tell you a technique using which you can identify the real important keywords and the sections in the questions, using which you can really understand the question and also identify the correct answer. And this technique, my friends, will really help you to get high scores in the real exam. So what are we waiting for? Let's get started with our first question.
So let's begin the part 23 with question number 191. But before we start this question, I really want to tell you, my friends, that please watch previous part 22, because from the previous part, I started to tell you or guide you how to actually identify the real keywords in any question. I mean, of course, we will continue the same practice in this part as well, but I really strongly recommend you to watch the previous part as well so that you can start the habit of identifying the key sections of any question. For now, let's begin with this part. Question number 191 says that which AWS service or feature can a company use to determine which business unit is using the specific AWS resources? Your options are option A, AWS Trusted Advisor, option B, Amazon Inspector, option C, AWS Cost Allocation Tags, and option D, AWS X-Ray. So let's begin with identifying the key sections in this question, and that is underlined here. It is saying that determine which AWS business unit is using AWS resources. So in any project, we have multiple AWS resources. Now, what we are really trying to do is that we want to identify which AWS resource is being used by which business unit. So let's say that your company has multiple business unit. Maybe you have an HR department, maybe you have finance department, or any other department. Now, you have multiple AWS resources deployed in the AWS cloud, and you really want to figure out which department of your company is using which AWS resource so that you can do the proper billing based on the department of your company. Now, based on this information, the correct answer for this question is option C, AWS Cost Allocation Tags. And here on this documentation, you can read about the AWS Cost Allocation Tags. So basically, my friends, a tag is just a label that you can assign to any AWS resource, and with these kind of labels, which is actually essentially a key value pair. So for example, you have a tag assigned to a AWS resource, let's say AWS EC2. Now you have multiple AWS EC2. Now here what you can do is you can assign a tag which says department equals to finance or HR, and with this way you can easily identify which AWS EC2 is being used by which department. So that's the whole idea behind using all these tags. You can read all about these tags in this documentation. The links are always given in the description box.
And friends, in case you or your friends or anyone you know are also preparing for the Microsoft Azure exams, then we have loads of exam Q&A series on multiple Microsoft certifications. For example, we have AZ900, we have DP900, we have AI900, DP203, AZ104. So almost all the major exam series on Azure are also covered. So please do join the channel. And yes, I can assure you that all these series have been super hit. Loads of people have used this series to pass the exam with really high scores. And I'm sure you also want to do the same. So please like the video, subscribe to the channel and press that bell icon so that you get all the timely notifications of all our upcoming videos. We have videos coming up on AWS, Azure and artificial intelligence.
And also, my friends, in the previous parts, we have discussed all these options given here. We had some questions on AWS Trusted Advisor, but I really want to tell you about all these options, the other options. So starting with the AWS Trusted Advisor, it's basically a tool that gives you best practice recommendation, and it can give you recommendations on various categories such as cost, performance, service limit, fault tolerance, security, and many more. And as I said, we took multiple questions on AWS Trusted Advisor in the part 22. So please watch that part. Now coming to the AWS Inspector. Well, AWS Inspector is an automatic vulnerability management service that continually scans all your AWS workloads for the software vulnerabilities and unintended network. And then coming to the AWS X-Ray, we took one question on AWS X-Ray also in the previous parts. So AWS X-Ray is a service that collects the data about the request that your application serves and provides the tool that you can use to view, filter or gain insights into all these data to identify the issues and also look for the opportunities for the optimization. And also I want to add those who are coming from the Microsoft Azure background. Well, there is a very similar concept of tags in Microsoft Azure as well. Now moving ahead with the question number 192, it says which AWS service or tool should a company use to centrally request and track service limit increases? And your options are option A, AWS config, option B, AWS service quotas, option C, AWS service catalog, and option D, AWS budgets. So let's identify the keywords here. It comes here. It says centrally request and track service limit increases. And the correct answer based on this information would be option B, AWS service quotas. And here you can understand that with these service quotas, you can view and manage your quotas for AWS services from the central location. You see this central location keyword here, and that's exactly the ask of the question as well. And once again, let's understand what are the other services. AWS config is the config tool that helps you access, audit, and evaluate the configuration and the relationships of all your resources. Then coming to the AWS service catalog, well, this service helps you to create and manage the IAC, which is also known as infrastructure as a code. So basically, this service helps you create and manage IAC templates approved for use on AWS so that anyone can discover approved self-service cloud resources. And then coming to the AWS budgets, well, this is the simplest way for you to manage the AWS spends and be alerted when you exceed or in other case about to breach the forecasted budget. And now let's move on to the next question, question number 193. It says which AWS service provides a cloud-based integrated development environment, also known as IDE, that lets you write, run, and debug your code with just a browser without needing to install any software or configure servers. Now your options are AWS CodeStar, option B, AWS Code Build, option C, Amazon Workspaces, and option D, AWS Cloud9. So are you able to identify the important section or the keywords in the question? Well, it is coming here, which says Integrated Development Environment or IDE. And without a doubt, the correct answer for this question would be option D, AWS Cloud9. So now let's match up our keyword given in the question with this documentation. Here you can read it says AWS Cloud9 is a cloud-based integrated development environment IDE, and that matches with our question as well. And this IDE lets you write and run, debug your code. And then you can also read that this IDE includes the support for various languages such as JavaScript, Python, PHP, and much more. And following that, you can also understand what are the benefits of using Amazon AWS Cloud9. Now let's jump on to the next question, question number 194. It says which documentation does AWS Artifact provide? And your options are option A, Amazon EC2 terms and conditions, option B, AWS ISO certification, option C, a history of companies' AWS spending, and option D, a listing of previous generation Amazon EC2 instance types. So this is a very straightforward question, and the correct answer is option B, Amazon AWS ISO certifications. And even before I jump to the ISO certification, I really want you to understand what is AWS Artifacts. And that is given here. Well, AWS Artifacts provides on-demand downloads of AWS security and compliance documents such as AWS ISO certification. And that was the reason I really want you to understand AWS Artifact first. And it also provides payment card industry, PCI reports, and service organization control, which is also known as SOC reports. So these are AWS Artifact for you. Now let's jump on to the ISO certification. And that really starts with the AWS compliance programs. And here you can read that the AWS compliance programs helps the customer to understand the robust controls in place at AWS to maintain security and compliance of the cloud. And then, my friends, I would like to jump to this documentation here, which is ISO and CSA Start certified. And here you can read that the AWS has the certification for the compliance for ISO. And here you can see the entire list of all the certifications included. Starting with the 27001, we also have 27017. And this is continued in 27018. Then we also have 27701 and much more. And also note that we have CSA Star CCM. Because in the real exam, my friends, the questions can change. They can ask for multiple various certifications, ISO compliance, and CSA Star. So please make a note and make sure that you know what are the certifications that we have in AWS. And with that, let's jump on to the next question. And here it comes, question number 195, which says which AWS service or the feature can automatically scale as per online traffic demand. Your options are option A, AWS Load Balancer, Option B, AWS code pipeline. Option C, auto scaling. And option D, direct connect. So what are we focusing on in this question? Well, we are focusing on auto scaling as per the demand increases online. So what is the best possible answer for this? Well, the correct answer for this question is option C, auto scaling. And friends, just so you understand, auto scaling in cloud computing is a feature that enables organizations to scale cloud services such as server capabilities and virtual machine, which is also called as EC2 in AWS, up and down automatically based on the defined situation such as traffic or its utilization levels. And you can see the same concept exists in all of the top cloud providers, and in fact all the cloud providers. That includes Amazon AWS, Microsoft Azure and Google GCP. So that was auto scaling for you.
And in case you're looking for the PDF files containing all the questions and the answers of all the series that I just mentioned, then you should really check the community membership. And that's all for today. I will see you in the next video. Till then, stay fit, keep learning, and thanks for watching.